Improv girlies.
Fuck them improv.
Fuck them improv girlies.
Yes, and murder.
Yes, and murder. Yes, and what is that? Speculation.
Yes, and witchcraft. Oh, yes, and spectral evidence.
Spectral evidence. There's so much food in my belly right now.
I know, that was good. It was good timing.
Yeah.
Because what if, like, this time we were recording and then you hear our stomachs growl? And then all of a sudden we're just a little bit too tipsy.
Yeah.
It's like those first few episodes where, like,
yeah,
we're so tipsy.
Literally not remembering anything on the episode because I'm just too tipsy. Yeah. No, that's where I felt like I was like, wait a minute. I can't, like, stick with I couldn't follow. I was like, I need, hold on.
It was really confusing, though. So I guess we can just jump into it since we're already talking about how confusing it was.
Yeah.
So last week we talked about the Salem Witch Trials and kind of like this socio-political climate leading up to like the actual trial, about how there was kind of a lot of paranoia, but it also kind of behooved you to accuse someone else so that you were the one kind of more in power.
Yeah.
Doing the accusing,
and it's like shiny object.
But there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that we mentioned in the first one that come back into play a little bit later. And some are unfortunately are those executed, and some are the pieces of shit who run the show. Mm-hmm. So it's a little confusing. But, I mean, these are confusing times.
These are confusing times. Also, I'm Jess.
Also, I'm Jenna.
Yeah. These are confusing times. I feel like that's the whole bit, though, where it's like nobody is sure of anything. They're going to start accusing other people to essentially try to create safety within themselves or a safe spot for themselves.
Well, and I think, too, like, I used to think back in the day, I used to think, like, these people are so fucking stupid. Like, how could they believe this? But then, remember during COVID, we were putting our groceries outside because we weren't sure if they were contaminated. Like, when you just don't have the information,
you
scared.
Act out of fear.
Yeah, you act out of fear.
Yeah.
And you're, like, you make bad decisions in order to keep yourself and the people you love safe.
Right.
Which is a shitty place to be in.
You err on the side of caution,
but there's
whatever that looks like.
That take advantage of that fear. I think that this fear was super preyed upon.
Oh, yes.
And I think that, like, I mentioned him a little bit at the end, William Stoughton, who gets appointed lieutenant governor. I think that he is like a straight up serial killer. And he found a legal outlet.
What does it take to get appointed as a governor?
He was just a rich guy. So he actually had no, like, I mean, I think, is it him that went to Harvard? I don't know. A bunch of people went to Harvard, but back then it was like basically the community college for like being a preacher or whatever. It wasn't
it wasn't
a high-end high-end
it's not what it is
institution
today.
that it is now. But I say high-end in quotes because I don't really know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming
I'm sure it costs a pretty penny. I don't know.
Well, isn't it like they say that you don't go to Harvard to learn things, you go to Harvard to know other people who went to Harvard?
Oh, stop, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. See, you already know more than I do.
I don't know. I feel like I just pissed off someone who went to Harvard.
Oh, way to go.
So, when we last left off, there's 62 people being held in jail for witchcraft. Mm-hmm. And up until this point, everything has been investigative. Again, quotes. Are you questioning my pronunciation?
Yeah, I did, because it felt weird. It felt weird.
I think it was the tone in which I said it.
Yeah, I said it back in my head, and I was like, I think she's right.
Yeah, so 62 people are being held in jail. And William Stoughton is, he is a politician, but I think he's just like a hobnobber. and
Whatever.
a landowner. And he's appointed lieutenant governor and in charge of the court of Oyer and Terminer, which is put together to hear and determine all these backlog of cases of witchcraft. So the court convenes on June 2nd, 1692. I did it right.
I love this for you.
I know. Next time I'm going to hear it so wrong.
Okay, it's fine.
So the 9 judges included the well-to-dos like William Stoughton, who was the lieutenant governor, a man named Samuel Sewall, and another man named Nathaniel Saltonstall. Absent from the appointed court was John Hawthorne and Jonathan Corwin, who had been kind of running the show up until this point. And the court was a big deal, and even Cotton Mather wrote Judge John Richards. I had to include his name. I don't know what he did. He didn't even have like one of those like links to go anywhere. Anyway.
Yeah.
So he writes him and he's like, I love what you're doing, but you got to be careful. You should not include spectral evidence. Spectral evidence is when a girl says, oh no, there's a devil sitting right on your shoulder.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, I'm putting that down as evidence. Is that there's
it's evidence. This is factual.
Right? So up until then, the old charter, spectral evidence would never be included, which is why a lot of people weren't convicted of witchcraft because...
Who's to say
because you
can't
can't prove something that only one person sees when you're in a room of a ton of other people and nobody else sees
that shit.
Except for all these other improv girlies. So... those are the afflicted that I've now chosen to dub improv girlies.
Improv girlies. I like it.
So, Cotton Mather, I love what you're doing, but like just be careful because like with spectral evidence, things can get out of hand real quickly. And he says, quote, it's very certain that the devils have sometimes represented the shapes of persons not only innocent, but also very virtuous, meaning... it would be the devil's work for you to put someone to death who's innocent, even though you think you're doing good. Okay. So fair.
I like it.
Bridget Bishop was the first woman tried. She was about 60. She was a tavern owner. She was a little bit of a cougar. Her husband was like in his 40s.
Oh, yes.
She wore black and like cool clothes and had this like Tim Burton-y vibe in my head going on.
Okay.
To me, she was giving like Helena Bonham Carter.
Okay.
And I love that.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I feel like I can see her.
Yeah. You probably. She's like, oh, you know her.
Yeah, she's got the eyebrows like this a little bit.
Yeah.
Does she have a gap in her teeth? Or what?
Yeah.
Or she should have a gap in her teeth.
She's in Fight Club. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Like Sweeney Todd vibes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. So
Oh my
yeah,
God,
she
look
gives
at
me
me.
like Helena Bonham Carter, not like, grinding people into meat to serve in meat pies, but her look.
Right.
But
Her
so
steez.
she's the first one, the first case tried. She's found guilty and is executed 2 days later.
Damn.
At the time, the standard was 4 days.
So they're like, no, we need to cut to it.
Yes. So
Why?
she's executed on June 10th, 1692. She's the only one who is executed by herself. So it's just her by herself, probably terrified because she's like, what the actual fuck is happening? I mean, not that anyone else would feel better because they're with people, but it's wild that she just is the only one.
She's the only one.
So then the court takes a few week recess because Nathaniel Saltonstall was like, this is fucked up.
Yeah.
And he quits. He's like, nope, this isn't right. That spectral evidence piece is like not working out.
Yeah.
I quit.
Good.
He's replaced by Jonathan Corwin. And Corwin is also going through town, serving warrants and taking people's shit and getting paid off so that people could keep their shit.
Oh my God. It's just fucking disgusting after disgusting.
At the time, there's this there's this law of forfeiture. So it's pretty common practice back then, and it's when the state takes your land and your belongings to pay for the services you receive while imprisoned, which were actually pretty much non-existent. Like you weren't
like they were dying.
fed well.
Yeah,
they weren't fed well. You if you had a little bit of money, someone would bring you straw so that you'd have like fresh bedding. Like you didn't even have straw to be on.
Crazy.
Like your family would have to go do that.
Crazy.
And so he's taking bribes and taking property because the other thing they take is your land.
Yeah.
Which is very valuable.
Of course. This is what people are fighting
century.
over. This is the whole reason this whole shit's going down.
Mm-hmm. So from June 30th to mid-July, a grand jury endorsed indictments against Sarah Good, Elizabeth Howe, Susanna Martin, Elizabeth Proctor, John Proctor, Martha Carrier, Sarah Wiles, and Dorcas Hoare.
Oh my God, I love that so much. Dorcas Hoare? That's so fucked up. You literally halfway getting it out, you fell into laughter.
So it's an unfortunate name.
Dorcas. I think I'm going to use that.
What? You're going to name your next child Dorcas?
No, 0 children happening, but I'm going to start calling my own husband Dorcas.
Okay, Dorcas.
Yeah, Dorcas.
Okay, so Good, Howe, Martin, and Wilds went to trial alongside Rebecca Nurse. The 4 were pronounced guilty. Rebecca Nurse was found not guilty. Then the afflicted girls broke into fits.
Oh, God.
So they were like, I'm sorry, we're going to need to redeliberate.
Improv girlies.
And they go, so earlier you said you were in the company of the witch Deliverance Hobbs. And Nurse, who is hard of hearing, was like, yeah. And they were like, you just admitted it. That you were a witch. And
that was
she
it.
Was
I can hear a gavel. There it goes.
And she had said later that she thought that like what they meant, they think she's a witch, but like you don't think she's a witch. Like, are you friends with her? And she's like, yeah, I'm friends with her. But like she didn't realize the sleight of hand that they pulled.
The way that they worded it.
Because, she's like 71.
Yeah.
And she's like, 17th century.
Mm-hmm.
17th century 71. It's not like the spry 71.
No,
of now.
I'm telling you,
she's
people
like,
don't live this
she's
long.
like the lady who's like in her nightgown that has that like horn up to her ear.
I am literally so surprised that people are even fucking with her. Like, what's the point?
And she's like a nice pious woman too. I don't understand it either. I'm fucked up.
Like, what's the point?
All 5 women were escorted to Gallows Hill on July 19th. And actually, there's a very interesting debate where they figured out where the actual gallows were. And it wasn't actually at the top of the hill, but it was at the base of the hill where everyone could see. But which was really interesting. They did like a whole excavation out there. So anyway, they were escorted to Gallows Hill on July 19th, and they were given one more opportunity to confess by Reverend Nicholas Noyes. And Sarah Good, who was like always like really loud, and she's like, I don't know about these bitches. They might be witches, but like, I'm not a witch.
Mm-hmm. She's like, I am a witch.
Yeah. She had just given birth in jail alongside her 4-year-old daughter, and then her baby dies in jail. And so she's just like
earth scorchy.
Yep. And she said, quote, I am no more a witch than you are a wizard. And if you take away my life, God will give you blood to drink. And this is an urban legend. And possibly not true, but I like it. But apparently 25 years later, he had some sort of situation where he ended up choking on his own blood. It was like he had a tumor somewhere.
I mean,
I don't know if that's 100% true.
I mean,
it is.
I like it though.
But I do love the idea of him getting some comeuppance.
Getting something. Yeah.
So they were executed by hanging and buried in a shallow ditch.
That is the saddest shit.
What a fucking rough life. Like,
you literally were an unhoused. This is unhoused.
Mm-hmm.
Going from door to door.
Everyone's a dick to you.
Everybody hates you.
Your daughter's also in jail.
They don't
Your
like
baby
you
was
so
in
much
jail.
so.
Your husband's a dick.
Mind you, her baby or her daughter could have been out, not in jail.
Yeah, that'd be really great.
Husband.
You know who actually joined in on accusing the 4-year-old was Ann Putnam Sr., a grown-ass woman.
Oh, fuck her.
I know. I can't. So in August, the judges convicted Martha Carrier, George Jacob Sr., Reverend George Burroughs, John Willard, John and Elizabeth Proctor. And Elizabeth was pregnant, so she got a stay of execution. A third round of execution.
She got a what?
A stay of execution. So they're like, we're going to kill you, but like, let's just wait till you have your baby first because, you know, life is precious.
Oh my God. That's wild. Okay.
So, I mean, her husband doesn't get a stay, but she does. So a third round of executions took place on August 19th. They were brought to the gallows, or when they were brought to the gallows, George Burroughs made a statement and began to recite the Lord's Prayer, which supposedly a witch could never do.
Oh.
And the speech and the prayer were so moving that the crowd rushed forward thinking like, oh, fuck, we made a mistake. They were like, fuck. And so they were held back and then they went through with all the hangings anyway. And there's a firsthand account of this in a book by Robert Califf. And he says, quote, when he was upon the ladder, he made a speech for the clearing of his innocency with such solemn and serious expressions as were to the admiration of all present. His prayer, which concluded by repeating the Lord's Prayer, as witches are not supposed to be able to recite, was so well worded and uttered with such composedness, as such fervency of spirit, as was very affecting and drew tears from many, so that it seemed that some of the spectators would hinder the execution. As soon as he was turned off, meaning hanged, Mr. Cotton Mather, being mounted upon a horse, addressed himself to the people, partly to declare that he, Mr. Burroughs, was no ordained minister, partly to possess the people of his guilt, saying that the devil often had been transferred into the angel of light, and this did somewhat appease the people, and the executions went on.
That is just
so Cotton Mather was just there, and he's like, whoa, just so you know, he's like not even a real minister.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't even go here.
And
then they were like, okay.
You don't even work here.
You don't even work here. Take your fake vest.
And your wannabe wand.
Beer kraken, sorry.
Yeah.
Get your wannabe wands out of the 2-finger point.
Uh-huh. Oh my God.
But yeah, everyone was just chill with it. They were like, okay, you're right.
Just kidding.
That makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Oh, now that you said that.
Yeah. So September rolls around, and at this point, 11 have been publicly executed. 3 have died in prison that there is a record of. Like, they assume more have.
Oh, I'm sure.
But there's the record keeping wasn't the best because you'll
imagine.
Find out later after this, records are like expunged and burnt and mysteriously lost.
We only know what they want us to know.
Yeah.
It's a fraction. It's just a scratch of the surface.
So at this point in the story, one of the most well-known, and it's not even an execution, but Giles Corey is most famously known for being pressed to death. And
the fuck is that?
So I'll tell you in a second. So at this time, this is the law. So the law says that in order to have a trial, the defendant needs to plead, right? So you have to plead guilty
or not guilty.
Or guilty and innocent back then. So Giles Corey refused to enter a plea, and the normal way to force a plea was to strip the accused person naked, strap them down, place a board on top of them, and then they would slowly add rocks, just crushing them until they were like, okay, I plead guilty or innocent.
I plead something.
So, legend has it, and this is, I have heard it in like multiple sources, and sometimes the wording is a little bit different, but apparently he never cried out, and this frustrated the sheriff a lot.
So he's like, boulders.
So he would be like, how do you plea? And then Giles Corey would say, more weight.
Like taunting him.
Yeah. Also, mind you, this is like an 80-year-old man.
What a bad motherfucker.
80-year-old man just being like, more weight. So they come back multiple days. I think it's like a 2-day ordeal. How do you plea? More weight. Apparently, those were his last words, were more weight. And after 2 days, he passed. But because he never entered a plea, he died in full possession of his estate, which was never seized for forfeiture.
Look at him go.
Because even if you were just accused, right, and he was like the man in the relationship, the woman would only get the land if the husband had died and she had no sons, right? So because he never entered a plea, he was able to keep all of his land.
Okay, look at him go.
I know. I actually always kind of like...
That makes me feel good, especially because this whole shit started over land, so...
I know. Well, so in my mind, back in the day when I would read about this, or like when you see it like in The Crucible, like the play The Crucible, like I always imagine Giles Corey being like a very like kind of like nice old man kind of vibe, but like, and then I was like, oh, that's really brave of him. But now knowing that he was kind of a dick, now it just feels like the more weight, it's just like a giant middle finger.
It
He's
is.
like, fuck you.
Fuck you. More weight.
Fuck you. More weight. And it makes me love it so much more. Like, it's so much more badass.
1000%.
Even though he was like kind of a murderer.
Yeah. I mean, you know.
Kind of a murderer, but.
There's that.
Yeah. So the fourth and final execution took place on September 22nd, and it was the largest one so far.
God.
Martha Corey, Mary Esty, Mary Parker, Alice Parker, no relation.
Damn.
Ann Pudiator, Wilmot Red is a woman. I thought was a man.
Wow.
For all these years.
Wilmot
Red. Yeah, I always thought it was a man.
Huh.
Margaret Scott, Samuel Warwell Sr. Those are eight people. Eight in total. So up until this point, it's been 1, 5, 5, and now it's 8. So this motherfucker, William Stoughton, was like, you know what? I'm just going to like keep adding more people onto this. Like,
well, we're already doing this.
Yeah.
Let's just be efficient about it.
Yeah, let's do more.
Oh my God.
So far, that's 19 hanged. So after they're executed, 19 hanged, 1 killed via pressing, 4 dead in prison, and 17 more awaiting a trial or execution.
That is the saddest shit.
So Governor William Phipps, which if you haven't listened to part 1, I don't know why you're here.
Yeah. How did you arrive?
How did you arrive here?
How did you arrive?
But if you did listen to part 1, William Phipps is the governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. And he was an adventurer, but he also gives like kind of Trumpy energy where he's just like, I'm not going to do jack shit. And I'm just going to hire people that are rich and put them in positions of power.
That they don't
know how to handle. They might not know how to do anything. Yeah. So Governor William Phipps, and also, okay, actually, I'm going to take back that Trump thing because he does something that is actually kind of badass, but honestly is still kind of Trumpy. Okay, so he returns from Maine on September 29th, and the accusations are still pouring in, but one happens to be Lady Mary Phipps.
Oh.
And so he's like...
Interesting.
Oh, fuck no.
Yeah.
Like, excuse?
Who dare says this?
Like, yeah, like this is starting to get wildly out of hand.
Starting, but okay.
Like... the 20 other murders I was okay with, but like my wife. So he decides to shut it down, and he's like, he says the court of Oyer and Terminer must fall. Quote, must fall. I have the hiccups now.
Yeah,
the beer cups.
The beer hiccups.
Okay, so on October 12th, he puts out a statement that's like, oh my gosh, I just got back and realized like innocent people might be like killed because of this. So like maybe we should stop. But he like feigns ignorance. He's like, oh, I had no idea what was happening. And but I'm back. And so just don't anymore.
Like, we're done now, right?
Judge Stoughton is pissed. And he's like,
because what does it look like?
I'm going to get my witches.
Ooh.
He's like, I'm going to get these witches. So there is a bunch of cases. So Phipps tells Salem to form a new court and disregards the spectral evidence. He's like, the spectral evidence is ridiculous. Don't do it.
Thank you.
I mean, up until his wife being accused, he was
A-okay with it.
Gave zero shits.
He was A-okay.
But Stoughton is elected again by everyone to be the Chief Justice. In January 1693, did it. He's like, let's get the ball rolling, and pre-digs 8 graves. Like, there's not any trials. Not anything.
I'm just ready.
He's just like, I'm just going to start digging here because he's like so jazzed.
What the fuck? This is so weird.
Right? He's like, you know what? This next round is great. And now he's settled on that number. He's like, 5 is out of here.
For sure. Going 8.
Totally.
Hard 8.
So the court tries the 5 accused that were indicted but had never been tried from the fall of the previous year. And without the spectral evidence, they're all found not guilty. So he's like, shit. He's like eye twitching, wanting to like murder more people.
That is the fucking craziest shit.
So they breeze through the last like 16 people.
Oh God, could you imagine being one of the people who had been executed?
Yeah, and all you had to do was wait a couple months.
Evidence.
Yeah.
And then like a flick of the wrist and no, we're going to change our...
Someone should have accused Lady Mary Phipps a lot earlier. Yeah. So of the 16, only 3 were found guilty. Stoughton was so jazzed. So he's like writing their arrest warrants. He's like, ooh, this is like so good. I'm so excited to like murder these people.
What an asshole.
And then Phipps, last minute, pardons them all.
All of a sudden.
As like a giant fuck you.
Yeah. Like, hold on. You're getting too much joy out of this shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and pull the plug.
Yeah. He's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like out of spite. Yeah. Really, I think.
I'm going to pull your happy plug.
I think it was like a little bit of a power struggle.
I mean, yeah.
And by a little bit, I mean like a lot of it.
A lot of it.
So that puts an end to most of the hysteria around the Witch Trials.
That is so crazy.
But then it seems to go on for ages.
All because his wife got accused.
He's like, oh,
change
it's
over.
Over.
Change
and
heart.
Pretty quickly too. Like so crazy. Pretty quickly did things like the tide turn. That was like a few weeks.
Right.
So in the aftermath of like all of this, or after the trials, many, not many as they should have been, but a good amount of people involved in the trials expressed remorse over their part. Ann Putnam Jr. and Samuel Sewall both apologized publicly in the years after the trials. The 3 women who were convicted but were not executed, Abigail Faulkner, Elizabeth Proctor, and Sarah Wardwell, had to keep petitioning for years to have their convictions overturned. And these were the ones that were convicted like with the spectral evidence.
Yeah, yeah.
And the conviction was like even though they were alive, it was still a stain on their good name. They couldn't get work. They couldn't do jack shit. It was also this like traumatic time that was continuing to fuck up their lives.
It's literally something you literally can't erase.
No.
They've already been through all of it. And then they're supposed to just assimilate back into regular life as if this didn't happen.
As if nothing happened. Yeah. So at the very least, they were alive to petition because they were petitioning, but the families of those falsely accused and executed had lost their loved one, their land, their property to the state, and they were also pretty screwed. So it's not until 1709, so over a decade later, that the survivors started demanding that not only the government clear the names of themselves or their loved ones, but also demand financial compensation.
Good. Let me get that land.
Well, this is also disappointing. So in 1711, the court finally passed a bill reversing the judgment, again, only for the ones that petitioned. And Governor Joseph Dudley authorized £578 to be divided among the survivors. So that's 22 people that petitioned. 6 wrongly accused were absent from that judgment. So in 1711, 578 pounds translates to $107,000 now. Divide that by 22. That's 26 pounds per person, which today translates to about $5,000.
That is the silliest shit. That is not even enough.
No.
That is nothing.
That is like...
That gets you through 1 month of living.
Yeah.
If that. Not even.
Yeah.
For all of your troubles.
Yeah. For
ruining your entire life. For making it sure shit that you would not be able to do anything for yourself moving forward.
And then for some reason, In 1712, Nicholas Noyes, the guy who ends up dying later, like choking on his own blood, supposedly.
Mm-hmm. God willing.
He and members of the Salem Church formally reversed the excommunication of Martha Corey and Rebecca Nurse. Like, they've been dead for a while. Like, I don't know if it was like a play for like public sympathy or or maybe it really did matter to the families. But he's just like, I think like we'll just reverse those excommunications. Why?
The fuck? They're dead.
Yeah.
It's already,
you
damage
literally
has been done.
had a super strong hand.
Maybe it didn't mean a lot to the families because they're like, wait, like, at least give them
this.
Yeah.
At least give them the church.
Right.
So over the years, family members of the accused had erected memorials in their honor. Rebecca Nurse's family had allegedly gone back for her body after she was executed and brought her home for a proper burial. And she's immortalized with a beautiful stone obelisk in her family's farm.
Oh, wow.
And so that was erected in 1885. A few years later, they also erected a memorial for the people who signed her petition.
Oh, wow.
Which I think is like so kind of them.
That is really kind.
Like, we didn't forget you. You like really stuck your neck
like
out
you really,
for her.
Yeah.
Which was really, they really did.
Yeah. Because,
Because fingers were flying.
All it took was just one change in the wind.
Yeah.
One shift.
So I'm not sure what the government has against these people who were wrongly accused, but they keep making like really weird decisions in regards to their legacy. In 1957, I said
like
that right. The real 1957.
Okay.
Descendants of the 6 people that were not able to petition in 1711 demanded their ancestors' names be cleared. They're not asking for like money.
They're not asking.
They're just being like,
let's clear the name.
Let's just clear the name.
Let's go on record and clear the name.
Yeah. So the general court
Who do you
passed
even take it
an
up
act.
with? Okay.
The general court or like the state legislature.
Okay.
I'm sure. So they passed an act clearing the names, but they only list amputator by name and refer to the rest, which is Bridget Bishop, Susanna Martin, Alice Parker, Wilmot Red, and Margaret Scott as, quote, certain other persons. Like, why?
That's not even clearing a name.
No.
That's not. That is the opposite of clearing a name.
Why is the amputator so important?
Right.
Like, why does she get her name and no one else
does? Because it starts
does?
with an A. It's the first name that popped up. It's alphabetical order.
Well, are you going alphabetical? No, then Alice Parker. If you're going by
I don't know.
If you're going by first names,
off on a limb. I was on a limb. That literally is like the most bullshit of bullshits because this.
Like, what are you trying to like?
Doing it.
It feels like you don't want to fully admit guilt, but it happened like 250 years ago from that point.
Give it up.
What's the point?
Give it up.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is the 50s. I mean, people are just dicks for no reason.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of women. Women still aren't important to lawmakers,
they still are like, whatever.
So in 1992, Salem honored the 300th anniversary of the trials. And for some, again, when I was doing my notes, I must have been on a hocus pocus kick because it says 300 years, right down to the day.
Right down to the day.
Now the witch is back. That is all my notes.
Okay, that's good.
That's such a full tangent.
That was good. I liked it. It was good.
300 years, right down to the day. They created a memorial park where they installed benches and a slab wall for each that lost their lives. Danvers erected its own memorial and then reinterred the bones that had been excavated in the 50s. In 2001, due to the advocacy of a Salem school teacher and local government officials, the Massachusetts legislature finally passed an act exonerating all that had been convicted and naming each of them.
Okay.
Except for one.
Shut up, who?
Elizabeth Johnson.
Why?
So Elizabeth Johnson isn't listed in a lot of records. She was 77 when accused and was considered intellectually disabled. And they had some very weird descriptors for her. But she confessed and was given a reprieve. She doesn't show up, but like, she doesn't show up, like, if you, like, even if you're, like, on a list of people, right?
Right.
She doesn't, like, really show up in any of those. But she was still accused, and she confessed because, again, she was probably like, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
like, probably
I
didn't really
guess.
know what was going on.
If you think.
And so she also she didn't have any children or family, so she had no one to advocate, like, advocate
sad.
for her, tell her story. So all these people that are petitioning all these years, like, she didn't
by
have
the wayside.
that.
Yeah.
She just fell by the wayside. In 2019, a teacher from Massachusetts, Carrie LaPierre, had learned about Elizabeth and taught it to her 8th grade civics class. And then the class elected to make a project where they petitioned lawmakers to clear her name. So finally, it was cleared on May 26, 2022.
Holy shit. Look at them go. How empowering does that feel?
It took until 2022 for that shit to happen. And it literally didn't cost anybody anything.
No.
Just be like, hey, they were innocent 300 years ago.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
And can you acknowledge?
Yeah, just a little acknowledge.
Just a little bit on the record.
A lot of the records over the years had gone missing, especially of those that were involved in the prosecution.
Oh, okay.
A lot of their records, their journals, you know how they're always like journaling and like writing letters.
With
a lot of their
ink
letters,
pens,
their quill, their ink and quill.
Yeah, in cursive.
Yeah, like Declaration of Independence type
circular motions.
A lot of flourishes.
Yeah.
Barely legible.
Tall and skinny, but circular.
What?
That's how I imagine the letter.
Yeah, so a lot of the letters, they went missing. There was a big fire at one point, and so
convenient,
but also like probably tracks because it's like old-timey buildings.
Yeah.
Shit
happens, honestly.
Shit happens, but that is the Salem Witch Trials, and I do feel like this was definitely like the heftier of the episodes where we talk about the death and the executions. But I think it's interesting to like think about almost like it feels like they are living because they're so isolated. Mm-hmm. They're living almost like on this like culty compound where it's like you either fall in line and get with the dirty or
you're
get
up
done
and out of here or you get a finger pointed at you.
Yeah. And so I feel like that sense of fear, and I feel like a lot of that happened with like vaccinations. A lot of that happened with like even like someone who had, remember at first, even if you had a mask on, if you had to cough.
Oh my God. It was like immediate.
The looks you would get, you would have thought you had hexed someone's entire lineage.
I literally was telling Aldrich that. We were out and having sushi with the kids last night. Mm-hmm. And literally somebody coughs next to us. And I go, oh my God, love, you know what I just realized? We're out of that era where people cough and you immediately think it's COVID and you da-da-da-da-da. And like, we can eat inside. Like,
yeah,
it was like a cough or even a clear of throat.
But do you also remember though, like, okay, I feel like maybe I'm still not out of it because when I cough in public, I get like, I think I might have PTSD where I'm like, oh God, who's looking at me?
Oh yeah, no, I don't do that anymore at all. Like it doesn't cross my mind at all.
Yeah, I feel like there's like some trauma. But like, I think it's interesting now to revisit this era, now having lived through something where there's a lot of tribalism, there's a lot of like polarized information.
Right.
It makes it feel like more, it makes it, I think, feel a little bit more like identifiable with rather than like this weird part in history that just...
I feel like as bad as the COVIDs were, I think because we are in the age that we're in and the way that we can communicate, it stopped it from getting far worse and old timey. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I feel like people could have been. Who the fuck knows? If we didn't have the knowledge that we do and weren't so like advanced as a whatever.
Yeah.
it could have been like, oh, that person coughed. Like leprosy,
Yeah.
how like they would kick people out of their village.
I think that people did get a little bit crazy with like BLM. I thought like a lot of the murders that happened like right before like George Floyd, I feel like people were starting to get that way. I think that we have enough I like to think that we have enough humanity that people could now see it, because if we didn't have things that were recorded, a lot of like back then, right, no one would know about it.
No, exactly.
And then dirty ass people get away with some dirty ass shit.
But here we are. So it's.
I feel like I'm really serious tonight. And I really went into this, well, because you know what? I was feeling really silly about it, because I was like, I love researching the witch trials, but it's so fucked up. It's so
your jam.
It's so fucked up.
So many people die.
I know. It's so fucked up. I really loved the political stuff, because I was like, oh my God, this is like so fucking crazy. And then I was like, oh, murder.
Yeah.
We're so serious. I mean, we talk about murder all the time.
This one's just hit different. Improv girlies.
Fuck them improv.
Fuck them improv girlies.
Yes, and murder.
Yes, and murder. Yes, and what is that? Speculation.
Yes, and witchcraft. Oh, yes, and spectral evidence.
Spectral evidence. There you go. Bam. Done.
Thank you for listening. I hope that you are having a good Halloween, which is tomorrow night. Right? Yeah, tomorrow night. We will be dressed as our own witch's coven.
I might be a directional witch, a directional traffic director
Spirits
witch.
To the south.
Spirits to the south. You
Spirits
go in
to
that lane. You go in that lane. You spirits over there. You're going to have to pause for a second. You spirits, come here. Come here.
I'm going to be a moth witch. I'm going to be like a little dusty.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and I have this like nice, I was going to be a Mothman witch because I really wanted to be Mothman, but then witches sounded better, and then I couldn't figure out how to be Mothman and a witch, so I'm just going to be a moth witch.
I can't wait. You're going to be dusty.
I'm going to like dusty, and then I got like some little moth things.
You should have holes in your clothes.
I'm going to have holes in my little like thingy.
Because you ate them.
I ate them.
You ate them.
Specifically, I ate them.
Oh my God, that's going to be cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait. It'll be fun.
Now I'm trying to think, am I going to...
You have to. It's the right thing to do. Moths are known for eating.
Yeah, you're right.
You know?
And it must be... Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I think I'm going to stick with traffic directing witch. Which could... come in handy.
I mean, if you were in a town of witches, someone has to be a crossing guard.
Somebody needs to make sure that the others don't get ran over.
You know what you should do is that you should cricket yourself and it looks like it's like a stop sign, so you can like holds, but it looks ye old timey.
Ooh,
you know?
Yeah,
almost like it looks like a wand. Oh wait, no, but you need your traffic wand.
Yeah, I might. Just
Are you gonna put like reflectors on your cape? Are you going to put a reflector band around your
You know what? The night is young. I still have time. Although when people listen to this, it doesn't sound like we have time. I could doctor some shit up real quick.
Yeah, if we remember, maybe we'll take a pic. I don't know. We never remember.
We don't remember.
There's never pictures of the adults. Only the kids.
Except for the big group picture we'll normally take.
Yeah, but
we have to do one just me and you.
Yeah. Or our coven.
Guilty by association. But we're not going to be accusatory.
Yes, and.
We're not going to be yes and bitches.
There was this one time in 7th grade, I might have talked about this before, where Kendra and I, we had a mock witch trial, and Kendra and I were the afflicted girls, and we came in period costume.
Oh.
We came in period costume, and every time the witch would say something, we would scream and move our desks away, and then we got in trouble. We got in trouble for being too authentic. She was like, "You guys need to settle down," and we were like, "The afflicted would never settle down. We're not gonna break character."
sorry. This is too good.
Yeah, we got in trouble for being too rowdy.
Being all in.
And you know that hurt my heart.
You know what?
I gotta be accurate to the time.
Look, you get to speak about it today and know that you didn't back down.
There's a witch over there. And Kendra was like, yes, and the devil.
Do you see it on her shoulder?
It's a specter.
Oh
There's
God.
evidence of it.
We need to get Kendra.
I know.
We need to get her over here.
We will. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for listening. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Boo.
Check your kids' candy.
Oh, wait. That's actually not real.
What?
That's actually what I was going to do.
Check your kids' candy?
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to do our episode on today, but I didn't.
Wait, what do you mean it's not real?
There's never been a case of a stranger putting anything in anyone's candy.
People just be making
There was
shit up.
just one man who put arsenic in a pixie stick and fed it to his own kid for the life insurance. And so after that, people globbed onto it and was like, there's apples and razor blades and blah, 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 blah.
Oh, God, they took it and ran so far.
And a lot of it was very religious institutions that didn't like Halloween. So, I mean, check your kids' candy if you want, but don't stress about it.
Don't stress.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, now. Bye. Bye.